Good evening and welcome to this evening's HSO BTCC 1996 broadcast, where we'll be racing on the Brands Hatch Grand Prix layout. I am currently alone, but according to what I've heard, David Junt will be joining me later on. And in the championship standings, I think we'll go through those before we go to the track for the action tonight. After round 6 at Jonatan, where Grégoire Goissin completely annihilated the field as such, more or less Peter Blom had a slight chance to keep up and go by him, but unfortunately he wasn't able to for us watching. But Grégoire Goissin is leading on 116 points in his Volvo. Peter Blom in the Honda, after 2 good races last time out, climbed from 4th to 2nd position and sits on 103 points in his Honda Accord. Richard Coxon remains in 3rd position, if only just, in his Renault Laguna, with Jan Titz falling from 2nd to 4th position after a couple of struggling races in his Audi on 92 points. And Jakob Fredriksson, the ever-present in the top 5 in his Vauxhall Vectra, is 5th on 83 points. In 6th position we still have Richard Wilkes in the 2nd of the Honda Accords, and he currently sits there on 52 points. David Yates, the Canadian in the Nissan Primera, is 7th on 49 points. He has just after the previous round at Snedden passed Rickard Svanja, who's unfortunately not with us, racing with us. He's committed to school. Is still 8th in the championship on 36 points, but all the points he amassed in the first 2 rounds. Matthias Weber, in the 2nd of the Nissan Primeras, is 9th on 32 points, and Yves Placé, after a very good event last time out, has climbed quite a few positions in the championship and is now in 10th position in his BMW on 31 points. In the Independence Cup, after Snedden, Dave Simmons has extended his lead by I think about 10 points in his Vauxhall Cavalier, and he is leading that championship on 144 points. Hansa Mild is still in 2nd, but is being caught by both Eivind Andersen and Mick Chapman, and Hansa is currently on 102 points in his Ford. Eivind Andersen in the venerable Carina lies 3rd on 90 points, and Mick Chapman in the 2nd Team Dynamics Ford is 4th on 84 points. And Simon Wortman in the 2nd of the Cavaliers in the top 5 in the Independence Cup is 5th on 61 points. And let's see if we can get to the track. Here we are. I don't think we've entered qualifying just. Yes, we have. Okay, so let's see who's currently on pole. And it's no surprise that it's very close at the top with 6 thousandths of a second between Peter Blom and Grégoire Goissin, which is very impressive indeed. So let's see if Peter Blom will be completing another lap after this, because if he does, we will ride on board with him and have a look at the track, as he's currently going through Westfield, coming up to Dingle Bell, this sort of chicane like, okay, it's not a chicane on this version of Brands Hatch GP layout, but it's still Dingle Bell corner, and going down towards Clark to end off the lap. This is a long sweeping right-hander, which we saw the end of in the in the race, but here he comes up the paddock hill bend. This downhill right-hander. Try to keep it as tight as possible, not run too wide into the gravel. Up Pilgrim's Rise into Druids. Try to stay as tight as possible because the track is very bumpy through there. And now down into Graham Hill. Looks like a pretty good run. Stays off the curb on the outside, so that's all good. And down Cooper Straight, which isn't straight, to Surtees, this left-hander. Which was only a kink in the Indy layout, and now we're onto the GP bit of the track. And here we come to Pilgrim's Drop, this little drop in elevation, and up into Hawthorne, this sweeping right-hander here. Trying not to run wide, looks very good through there, and now into Westfield. Very bumpy, very difficult to get the power down, but it looks like he's done it very well. And into Dingle Bell. Almost a bit of a jump, little bit on the grass, but looks like he held it. And through Sterling's. Again, try not to run wide. And back into Clark. Oh dear me, he runs wide into the inside barrier, unfortunately. So that's his lap done. So let's see. Oh, that's Greg taking a lot of the inside at Druids. Gets a pretty good run through Graham Hills. And again, looks like a very good run through Surtees. I think that's Jan Tits just ahead of Greg here, but he shouldn't get impeded too badly. Actually, both the Audis are just ahead of Greg here. Oh, he takes a lot of the inside through there. Oh, he runs wide as well. Really good, really great camera angle, that one. Looks like it took quite a bit of the inside yet again. Greg is definitely trying, that's for sure. He runs a little bit wide through Sterling's as well, by the looks of things. And here he comes to complete his lap. Oh, and he actually goes quickest by almost 3/10 of a second. Wow. So let's see, we also have in third at the moment Grant Riddell, who's in the Thompson Mobile, because unfortunately Jakob Fredriksson is away on I think it was family dinner, but I could be wrong, but at least he's unfortunately not here tonight. So Riddell is driving his car and doing a very good job so far in that Vauxhall Vectra, which isn't too... Oh, as one of the Peugeots runs very wide, and here comes Vidal as well, gets sideways through Paddock Hill. Oh dearie me, that looked very close between, I think that was Greg indeed, who got held up a little bit. Hopefully not on a hot lap. Oh, as Grant hits the curb, that curb we saw in the event, I think that was round 3, is very deadly indeed. And in fourth currently is Jan Tits in his Audi, following Philip Martinelli, his teammate, very closely here. Looks like he's almost trying to get a draft, as Philip very kindly moves out of the way to let Jan have a free run at it. The Audi should be pretty good around here, even though it's a little bit heavier than some of its competitors. The four-wheel drive should help it coming out of Sterling's, and also going through some of the coming out of Druids as well. And At least I feel like that should be the case, coming up through Hawthorne, which he's heading towards right now. Although, as we heard, the Audi, as we heard from David Junt in the last event, the Audi is very difficult to drive. Or difficult, but strange to drive might be the more correct way to express the issues as such. And a bit further down still, I think that's Yves Placé, who's currently in 5th position on the grid. And Havlik in the second Vauxhall is 6th. I think Ray Ridal is in 7th. Coxon is, for his standards, only 8th. 9th is David Yates in the Nissan, so he's doing a good job with that car. It's again down on power, but the handling should help somewhat around here. And in the top, and in 10th, and actually on pole in the privateer class, by the looks of things, it's on Samild. So that's very, very impressive indeed. So the timer has run, and oh, actually Peter Blom has bumped Greg down to 2nd on the grid still by another 10th, so that's very impressive indeed to go into the 29s for both of them. A good 2nd ahead of the closest competitor in Grant Ridal. Matthias Weber in the 2nd Nissan is 11th, Richard Wilkes 12th. See, Chapman is the 2nd of the privateer class cars, so he's done a decent job. Dave has been able to join us in time, but I don't know if he had time to do a lap in the qualifying session, but either way, I'm sure he will be looking to try and get up a bit. Looks like Svenja Tits is also with us tonight after having missed a couple of rounds with internet issues. Looks like the BMW is a bit of a handful on the curb through Dingle Bell. And I think the BMWs might also struggle around Knock Hill, which we will be heading to in, I think, 2 rounds time. Though I could be wrong, but I think we have Croft next and then Knock Hill. And again around Brands Hatch, the start will be critical, and Jan Tits with his 4-wheel drive will have a bit of an advantage, and so should Yves Placé and the BMWs. It'll be interesting how they get their starts, and also for the rest of the grid with their front-wheel drive. Generally, at least, there are 3 BMWs and 2 Audis that should have a bit of an advantage on the starts. But it'll be interesting to see how the front-wheel drives stack up. Who was one of the Nissans ahead? Hales, I think that should be David Yates in... I think that's David Yates in the Hales car. as it's very close here, as they have a bit of a test run, a test race as such, trying to get a feel for each other's machines by the looks of things. When it comes to predictions, on the other hand, I think it'll be difficult to not say Greg, but I have my sights set on Peter to actually have a fair go at taking the win here, at least in one of the races. You never know, Grant is a very good racer, so he could always surprise. Oh, yes, we have a roll for, I think that was David Saber actually. Peter in one of the BMWs could also do well, but I didn't see quite where he qualified this evening. And of course, after his, I think, 4th and 3rd place last time out for Yves Placé, he will probably also be looking for a good run and maybe even a shot at a win, dependent on if he can take the lead and hold everyone off from start to finish. I suppose we'll see about that. And I think, because I don't have much else to say at the moment as such, I will finish my cup of coffee that I have in front of me, and I will let you listen to a little bit of music in the background while we wait for the race to get underway. So, talk to you in a couple of minutes time. But I did notice that we have this little run going on at the moment between Martinelli and Havlik. So I thought that might be a little bit of fun to watch, just to see the differences in the cars. And maybe also in the drivers themselves, as different drivers have different approaches. Very close through Paddock Hill. He's actually up the inside here. I think he's done it. He has indeed, so Havlik got by there. Very nice, if somewhat forceful move. So maybe we'll see some of that during the event, which would be nice.
Attention grid, will all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
As that signalizes that we are heading into the race. That's nice to hear, isn't it? So let's see everyone, well, sort of see everyone line up, but on pole for Heat 1 this evening we have Peter Blom in the Honda. Second is Greg Guassin, or Greg as he wants to be called, or prefers. Third and about a second off the top two is Grant Riddle in the Vauxhall Vectra. Fourth is Jan Titz. Fifth is Yves Placé. Sixth is Miroslav Havlik, so he's had a good qualifying session for the first race this evening. Ray Riddle getting back on form after struggling with the BMW and initially with the Laguna, is in 6th position here. 7th, I think at least. Sorry, 8th, Richard Coxon, somewhat lower down than where he would probably prefer to be. David Yates is in 9th in that lowly powered Nissan. Pole in the privateer class goes to Hans Mill in 10th overall on the grid. Matthias Weber is 11th in the second Nissan, and just behind him is Richard Wilkes in the second Honda Accord. 13th is, I think that's Peter Polava. It is indeed, in his BMW. Second in the privateer class is Hans Mill's teammate Mick Chapman in 14th position overall. David Saber is just behind him in 15th, and David Anderson is just behind him in 16th, so the privateer class is closely clustered here. And just a couple of positions back I just noticed is Dave Simmons in the in his Cavalier, and sandwiched between them is Michal Janak in the Peugeot. Dave Simmons 18th, 19th, and a bit behind everyone else, by the looks of things unfortunately, is Alan Forster. I'm sure he will catch up pretty soon here. 20th is I think there's been an incident on the starting grid actually, because Felipe Martinelli seems to be lacking his rear wing. But 20th is Juha Boss. 21st is Felipe Martinelli. 22nd is Matthew Hull, and it looks like he's waiting in the pits actually. And last on the grid is Svenja Titz. And there's another one in the pit, waiting in the pits is actually Simon Wattman, but let's get to look on the grid here as we are awaiting the start. This is a very tense time for all the drivers, trying to get everything right. And of course it'll take quite a bit of time because Alan Forster is still to make his way around the circuit, isn't he? He is indeed. I think he's just coming up to the last corner now. Yes, he is. Okay. So he'll be on the grid shortly. So we should have a green flag in 15 to 20 seconds time. And the lights are on. 3 lights, 4 lights. And the green light is on and the races go. Oh, it looks like Jonatan has had a good start. Oh, we almost have a bit of contact in the back. Oh no, there's a big crash. One of the Nissans, one of the BMWs. I think could be Lavak. It is indeed. Juha Boos, and I think that's Matthias Weber is off. But back to the front of the grid. Oh, Grégoire Gosset, where is Greg? Greg is gone. Oh, there's been an incident because here is Miroslav Havlik, but where is Greg? Where is Greg? That's Matthew Hull. So where is? Oh, Greg is actually in the lead. I do apologize. I went back to find him. I didn't see him when I was following Peter earlier, but Greg is in the lead. Peter Blom is second, and Grant Rudal is still third. But Placé is up to 5th, Yakes is up to 6th, and Øyvind Andersen in the Privateer Toyota Carina is in 6th position and first in the Privateer class, with Honza Mild in close proximity to him, which is very exciting. I think that's Ray Ridal, it is indeed, in, I think that would be 8th position, 9th is Richard Wilkes, and 10th currently is Dave Simmons. So I think it's Mick Chapman who's dropped back just a little bit here, along with Honza Mild, Havlik, unfortunately Matthias Weber as well, Peter Lavak, Simon Wattman and Matthew Hull is just making their way past him, and unfortunately Alan Forster is already out of this race. And it looks like it'll be a 2-horse race because both of them... Oh, there's contact here. I think there were a bit of a concertina effect, but Honza Mild has lost out to Ray Ridal and Richard Wilkes. Oh, as Honza Mild tries to go up the inside of Wilkes to get the position back. As Ridal has dropped back, I think he made a mistake at Paddock Hill, going up the inside of Dave Simmons here for 10th position, and he gets it. As here comes Richard Coxon, who's also dropped back after the first lap, as he's now side by side with Ridal going into Hawthorne. Oh, he decides to back out of it around the outside. I think that's a smart move. Oh, Dave looking up the inside then, that's a bit brave. That's reminiscence of 1993, I think it was, when Hoy and Rouse had an off in the Toyotas, where they both hit each other. But at the front it's still... No, sorry, that's not the front. But that's Lavak coming out of the pits. But at the front it's still Volvo, followed by Honda, in the hands of Greg and Peter respectively. And Peter is definitely doing his best to try and keep up with Greg and give him a run for his money. And quite a ways back is Yves Placé in his BMW, but he is in a podium position, so that's very good for Yves yet again here. And Yakes, the ever consistent and now I think 7th straight win driver in the HSO F1 1991 championship, is in 4th position, looking to grab that third from Yves. Sorry, just had to finish off my coffee then. But back here, there hasn't been too much of a shuffle going on, but I think Øyvind will be under fire here fairly soon. especially because his Toyota is somewhat dated as such, lacks power. And as Richard Wilkes is off. Can he stay? He manages to stay off the wall. But he rejoins right in front of Jan Tits. I wonder if he received any more damage than the lost rear wing. Hopefully he'll be able to. He's sideways going through Sterling's. That's very unfortunate, but it's very difficult to avoid anyone in that turn because it's downhill and it's cambered the wrong way round, if that makes sense. But here goes Richard Coxon up the inside of Eivind Andersen, as Eivind gives him a little bit of a push through Paddock Hill, and he tries to half defend. He's actually defending. He's defending hard. Escorts Riddle a little bit wide, and here comes Jan Tits now round outside as he gets half escorted out to the outside of the track. I think Eivind is maybe racing a bit too hard with cars that's not in his class, but when it's for position he's entitled to try and hold on to it, but maybe that was, in my view, a little bit too aggressive, especially since he'll be passed by it looks a bit both of them going up to Hawthorne as Riddle reclaims his position. He's sideways. Nicely held, Grant. Nicely held. Jan Tits backed off to not take advantage, but he gives him a bit of a shove then. But Grant held on to it, and Eivind, through all of that, regained both of his positions. But you can definitely see that Grant and Jan is a little bit quicker than Eivind, so I think he'll be passed pretty soon. Up towards the front, it's actually closed up just a little bit. As Peter runs very wide. Let's see, he doesn't make a move here. Let's see if he's able to hook onto him, otherwise we'll go back to where we were. In that battle for 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th, I think that would be. More or less, at least. It looks like it's more or less calm there, but it's definitely not calm back here, because look at this. It's now 4 for, I think, 7th position here. As Grant is trying to hold off Jan, and Dave and actually Eivind, I think, has lost out quite a bit here, because I can't see him here. Unless I just... Johan Boos was sideways in his battle with Philippe Martinelli. I think Philippe might have given Johan a little bit of a nudge. Yep, Eivind has definitely dropped back. Where has he gone? Oh dear me, is that Eivind? Yes, that is Eivind. He's had an off in Paddock Hill Bend and he's on the wrongs. Oh dear me. I'm afraid that may... actually, here comes David Saber to try and help him. I think that's... No, sorry, that's actually Simon Wattman. That's very sporting of Simon, trying to help his fellow Scandinavian up onto his wheels yet again to allow him to keep going. Hopefully they'll be able to sort that out so that Eivind and Simon can continue. But up the front it's very tight yet again at the beginning of the lap, but actually Peter has a bit of a look up the inside. Just about gets the car stopped. Doesn't run too wide. As they come up to, I think that would be Svenja Tits, it is indeed, and she flashes her light to let them know that to go by. That's very sporting of her, moving out of the way for the leaders, allowing them to continue their battle uninterrupted. And this battle is... this battle is heating up because we have a privateer class battle between Dave and Honsa for the lead in the class, and we also have a battle for, I think, 7th and 8th position in overall between Grant and Jan still. But I almost have a feeling that this will be a bit more of a spice battle, because this is the top 2 in the privateer class that's fighting in the championship as well. So this will be interesting to watch. as they both jump the curbs aggressively through Dingle Bell. Into Sterling's they go. Dave takes a bit of a defensive line. Honza gets a good run, but Dave again takes the inside line and leaves a good car width on the outside to allow Honza to outbrake him in case he wants to try. But I think Honza is up the inside here. He is indeed, he has an overlap. Let's see if he can outbrake. Oh, he doesn't go for it, he backs off instead, but Dave runs a little bit wide at the apex, but he's able to keep it on track. As I think there were a bit of contact up ahead between Tits and Riddle, but they're actually side by side going into Graham Hill. Let's quickly jump forward and see if the battle continues here. Jan is trying to look up the inside of Grant, and he goes up the inside. Oh, there's actually a little bit of contact. That was sort of a dive from Jan. But it looks like it's all good between both of them, so that's good. Oh, as Grant is a little bit wide on the entry to Hawthorne. But this looks to be a very close fight between the Cavalier and the Ford. Oh, as Dave goes very defensive. Honza should have a run through here. Both of them jumps to... Oh! Oh dearie me! Grant Riddle is in the wall. Whatever happened there? Oh, he has some heavy damage. Oh, as Havlik rolls, hopefully... Oh, I think he collected some heavy damage, but hopefully he'll be able to continue. But I think, unfortunately, Grant Riddle is out. Let's see if we can find out what happened between them, because presumably something must have happened here. I don't know if there would have been contact or if he was Oh, he got sideways, climbed the curb a bit too much, just nudged the grass with the left rear tire. Reminiscent of Kelvin Burt in 1997 at Oulton Park through Old Hall, where he took a bit too much on the inside, got unsettled, hit the grass and went into the inside barrier, just like Grant has just done in his Vauxhall. So that's very unfortunate indeed, but unfortunately that's what can happen, and looks like Havlik unfortunately also is out. So both the Vauxhalls out within the space of about 20 yards or so. And here is Seymour Watman with a somewhat beat up car. I wonder if Eivind is still in the race as well, so they were able to get righted. So that's nice to see that they can continue, although Eivind is having a lot of trouble with the lack of his rear wing. But hopefully he's able to have fun anyway. As Greg has made a mistake because Peter Blom has taken the lead in the race. I'm sorry for having missed that, but action was going on in other places of the race, so hopefully you'll have a bit of an oversight with that. As Peter runs very wide going through Paddock Hill, but I wonder... Yep, Greg must have made a mistake losing out that much time to Peter. But that's interesting. It looks like David Yates has made some kind of mistake because he's dropped back from Yves Placé here, and he's soon coming under pressure from Richard Coxon, who's having a very good drive here, qualified I think 8th on the grid, but is up to, I think this should be 5th position with his teammate just behind him. But according to the rule he should probably turn off his lights, but any tactic to try and unnerve your competitor is good, is fair in racing, more or less. Or as they say, all is fair in love and war, but in the Privateer class it's all heated up because it's now 3 for the lead, as Honza Miller's taken the lead going through Hawthorne, that would be. And here we have a spin. I think that would be Philippe Martinelli, I assume. And Svenja Tits is in the middle of... Oh, dearie me! Svenja had nowhere to go, and unfortunately Dave Simmons collected her and lost out a position here. That's unfortunate, but not much that can be done about that. That's just one of those racing situations that unfortunately can occur. So that has unfortunately also broken up this battle, but I'm fairly sure it'll continue in a short while. At least the battle between Saber and Simmons here, as David runs very wide. Oh, it's up! Oh, he's actually rolled it, unfortunately. That's very unfortunate indeed, but he's on the right way up, so hopefully he'll be able to continue still. So it's very problematic, but no, actually that was Jan Titsuspan. Wow. I thought I would have been Philippe Martinelli, but it was actually Philippe's teammate. So that's very unfortunate indeed, but it is what it is. Oh, yes, I think oh no! Oh, he stayed off the wall. Very good driving from Richard Wilkes there. A bit of an optimistic move through Dingle Bell, but they both survived, so that's good. But I think Dave will have lost a bit of his rhythm, getting tangled up with the lapped car and the racing after that. But Hansa Mild is in the lead on the privateer class. Dave Simmons is second, and Mick Chapman, although he's had a bit of trouble during the race, or at least, sorry, apologies for coughing, early on in the race, is third. And we have 10 laps in the books. And let's have a look up towards the front of the field. Peter Blom is still in the lead. Greg has closed in a little bit. Yves is still third. Richard Coxon is still fourth. But Ray Ridal has made some kind of... No, actually, Coxon has actually passed David Yates for fourth, while everything else has gone on. So Yates is down to fifth. Ray Ridal is still sixth, as Ivan very sportingly gets out of his way. And sixth, no, actually seventh overall, and first in privateer is still Hansa. Dave is trying to catch up in eighth. Ninth is Richard Wilkes, who's doing a good job with his car, considering he has no rear wing after the early incident that he had. And Mick Chapman is currently in 9th and Jan Tits in 10th. Although I have a feeling that Tits will soon be going by Mick Chapman here. Juha Boos is just outside the top 10 in 11th, so he will be looking to try and get into the top 10 and score a few more points in his Ford Mondeo, which has been a bit of a struggle to get set up well, but it looks like they have found the crack the puzzle over at the Ford team. And David Saber is currently 4th in the privateer class, doing a decent, or well, a good job, not making too many mistakes from what little I've seen without seeing him drive without his rear wing. And behind him we have Matthias Weber, who's trying to do a recovery drive after the lap 1, turn 1 kerfuffle, going down Pilgrim's Rise and Paddock Hill Bend. And Peter Lavach is also trying to do what he can to recover, as we have is that Simon Wattman maybe going off the track to get out of the way? I think it is. Svenja Tits is doing a pretty good job in the Peugeot, sitting in I think 13th or 14th. Matthew Hull is also doing a pretty nice job, being a newcomer to HSO and the series in general in his Volvo, although his internet connection seems a little bit dodgy at the moment, unfortunately, but hopefully it'll all sort itself out. Simon Watman, after having helped Ivan get turned back the correct way, is still in pretty close proximity to each other, so I think they might have a battle coming, and they are unfortunately the last guys running in the race. It looks like Greg has made another mistake here, because Peter has a very big gap. Oh, Greg is off again into the gravel going through Paddock Hill. And here comes Eves. And Eves has actually closed up considerably now to Greg, so maybe Eves will improve on his best finishing position of the season, which was third last time out, with a second position here, if all goes his way as such. And Richard Coxon is still trying to catch up to Eves, but looks like Eves is just about able to keep a good enough pace to keep him behind. And after that it looks pretty spread out, although Dave Simmons looks to have made a mistake, because he's now behind Richard Wilkes, Jan Titz, Nick Chapman and Juha Boos. So that's unfortunate, but I think he'll still do his very best, and maybe even more than that, to try and regain his second position at least, to maintain as big of a lead as possible in the championship. But we'll see in a few laps time, I suppose, as that Ford sounds very nice indeed. Oh, as David Saber got a bit sideways going through Westfield then. Oh, takes a lot of the inside. I think he got sideways because of the lack of a rear wing. Definitely makes the cars a lot harder to drive, as Jan Titz goes up past Richard Wilkes and is now setting his sights on lapping Ivan Andersen, and Ivan gets... Oh, I don't think I even saw Richard Wilkes then. Oh, dearie me. Well, I'm not sure about that, and I think Juha Boos got into a bit of trouble as well, with Ivan going a bit slow with a bit more damage to his car after that incident, and he went onto the grass, unfortunately. And Ivan now moves out of the way for Juha very, very sportingly. Oh, and unfortunately, looks like that's Matthew Hull indeed, so unfortunately Matthew Hull has had an incident and is out of the race, so that's unfortunate, but I hope he had fun while the race lasted. But it looks like Greg has got into his rhythm again and pulled away from Eves in the BMW, and Richard Coxon is still catching up little by little, but I'm not sure there is enough left of the race for him to actually get up and past Eves here, but you never know. And I suppose that's what makes BTCC so exciting, that you never know exactly what will happen as such. And actually, Simon Watman and Ivan Andersen is now really close to one another, so hopefully for them both, they will be able to have a nice little race to cap off this first heat of the evening. I also noticed that Dave and Mick was fairly close, but it looks like Mick has pulled away just a little bit in the 1/3 of a lap that it took for them to cover, that they were able to cover, I should say, while we were looking at the precursor of a battle, that is the one between Ivan and Simon. But Simmons is definitely a lot quicker through the GP part of the lap than Mick is, but looks like the superior engine that even the Privateer Ford Team Dynamics team car has is strong enough to pull away in the short circuit part of the lap. Although Dave has a bit of a go going into Druids, but he thinks better of it and backs off. Let's actually see these engines at work here, but it doesn't look like Mick has that much of an advantage actually. So that's somewhat surprising since it's a V6 engine even in the Team Dynamics car, but as with the previous year winning car, the Vauxhall Cavalier, the car is no slouch by any stretch of the imagination. And it was a very good racer. Dave had a very scary moment, very close to what Grant Rudal had earlier when hitting the grass. But he was able to hold on to the car. As it looks like David Saber is in trouble, maybe even out of the race. Stopping just going into Westfield, and he's unfortunately out of the race indeed. So I wonder what, if anything major happened, or if it was just him sort of giving up or something. It was very wide. He hit something laying on the road. Or at the side of the road. It's very strange, but well, let's see, towards the front of the field. I wonder if this was actually the final lap. So we have the finish of the race right here. Sorry for not quite keeping up, but Peter Blom is the winner of the race. Actually, I think Greg must have made another mistake, because Eves takes second place. Really good race for him then, just ahead of Richard Coxon, who gets third. Gregoire Gassin gets fourth. Fifth is Ray Riddall. Sixth for David Yakes. So he made a mistake in last lap or so. Hansa Mild gets the win in the Privateer class and 6th overall. Jan Titz gets 7th. I wonder, this looks like Richard Wilkes coming across the line in 7th. 8th is Mick Chapman, just ahead of Dave Simmons for 9th and 10th overall, 2nd and 3rd in class. Johan Bors gets 11th, just outside the top 10. Matthias Weber is coming around without his rear wing to take, I think, 12th in the race. No, sorry, 13th in the race. I think Peter Lavac is already finished, so he's 14th. 15th for Svenja Titz. 16th for David Saber, who retired. Øyvind Andersen, I think, in 16th, and a few others. I won't be showing the crashing and all of that. So, but anyway, the upshot of the first heat of the evening is that Peter Blom took the win. So congrats to Peter, and I think we might even have been joined by him here. We have indeed,
Yeah,
so
thank you,
congrats,
man.
Peter.
Yeah, thank you. Went very well, but I really don't know what happened there in the corner with Greg. Could you see it?
We didn't catch it, unfortunately, so if you could walk us through it maybe, and what happened from your point of view.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's a racing accident. We were next to each other in the left-hander, and couldn't really see where Greg was. I knew he was quite alongside me, but we touched and we both went off. And after that, I think I had a 2-second lead on him, and I remained seconds ahead. After that, I made another mistake, and then he went back into my gearbox. And one corner after my mistake, he made a bigger mistake and lost about 10 seconds, I think. So Brands Hatch is a very difficult track to get right every lap. And I'm happy to take the win.
And that's understandable. It's as you say, it's not the easiest track to be consistent at, and a couple of small mistakes, but no major mistake then for you. Was also impressive to see that you and Greg was over a second quicker than Grant Ridal in the first qualifying session. Do you feel that the car is hooked up perfectly, or what are your thoughts on that part?
I have no tire. How do you say it? I have no tire heating problems anymore since I received the setup from Greg. So I really can compete with him now. So I'm happy with that, and we will see for the second race.
Well, that's good to hear. And, what do you feel about the second race? Do you think anyone else will be up there with you and Greg, or is it going to be you two yet again to battle for the win?
Huh?
What do you feel about the second race? Will there be anyone else who might get up there to battle with you and Greg, or will it be you and Greg battling for the win alone?
Right, I think so. I have the feeling the rest of the guys didn't really practice a lot. And you saw that in the qualifying times. There's about 1 second difference between Greg and me and the rest. 1 second is a lot. So so I don't know. Maybe it will be a little bit closer in the second race, because I think in the first race behind me and Greg, there was, I think, a little bit of people touched each other, because suddenly there was quite a big gap behind me to the third guy, and we didn't saw them anymore then after that, I hope it will be closer in the next race, but we will see.
Yeah, the action behind you guys were very close indeed, so I agree. Here's hoping that there will be more close racing, and also involving you two a bit closer to the rest of the field as such, or the field being closer to you. So good luck for the second race, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Jonatan. I will speak to you after the race again. Okay.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
User disconnected from your channel.
So that's Peter Blom being very happy with his win, and with that we'll take a few minutes break, and I'll be back after that. So hang tight, and see you afterwards. welcome back to this second qualifying heat or second qualifying session, I should say, for the second race this evening at the Brands Hatch Grand Prix at the circuit. It shows that I'm a bit tired this evening, and I'm saying all the wrong things at the wrong times, but hopefully you'll have a bit of an oversight with that as well. But yeah, the qualifying session is on the way. We have seen a few cars blast by here. I think we are sitting in the... I think this should be Westfield, but I could be wrong. But anyway, let's see if we can catch who is currently on a hot lap. Svenja Tits has just gone on to an hot lap, so maybe we could catch a ride with her for this lap and see how everyone stacks up after we've seen her do her best here. Gets a pretty good run through Druids by the looks of things. Nice run through Graham Hill as well. Makes very late into 30s. Gets the car in nice and tight. Can't see anything wrong so far with her run. Looks very nice and tidy. Into Hawthorne, maybe a bit too quickly on the entry there because she had to make a bit of a correction. But very nicely through Westfield though, so I think she gained back the time she may or may not have lost at Hawthorne. Through Dingle Bell and now through Sterling's. Gets the car in nice and tight. Gets a good run coming out. Down clear ways into Clark. And a little bit of a sideways moment, but hopefully she'll have a good run either way to finish off her lap here. Let's see, currently we have Peter Blom on pole position yet again. And second is Grégoire Goissin, both on the lap. Richard Coxon is third, with Yves Placé fourth, letting other people by here. Get a clear run on his next qualifying run. Grant Ridal is currently fifth in his Vauxhall, doing his best to replicate his first qualifying session speed. And his teammate Havlik is just behind him in 6th. 7th currently is Jan Tits, so he's a bit further back than where he would have wanted. So Coxon and Tits has more or less swapped positions in this qualifying session so far. Let's see if Jan Tits is able to improve here. He does. He goes up I think a couple of positions to 5th. So 6th now is Havlik. Oh no, sorry, that's Grant Ridal. 8th is 7th is Havlik. 8th is Ray Ridal. And 9th is currently Matthias Weber. And 10th overall and currently on for pole in the Privateer class is Hansa Mild yet again. So he's having a very good event this evening. Presumably he has had a bit more time to prepare for this one compared to the previous couple of events where he struggled a little bit more. And well, obviously he's enjoying his time a lot more here than he did at the previous rounds. And I did notice that he ran a bit wide coming through Graham Hill. It looks like he got a good bit of speed through Surtees. This is great. We can see his speed, 200, turning 17 Ks before he brakes and turns in for Hawthorne. Who takes a lot of the inside curb at Westfield. Oh, and does the same, jumps the curb very aggressively through Dingle Bell. Well, it looks like he's going pretty quickly here because he's caught up to Philippe Martinelli in the Audi. As he runs off the track, so he wasn't happy with that run. So let's see, he's actually been passed on the grid by David Saber. So that's interesting in of itself. But let's see, still Peter Blom on pole position overall. Richard Coxon is now in second with Greg third, but Greg is on a hot lap right here, so let's ride on board with his sweet sounding Volvo for the end of the lap and see what he can do. Whereas he runs a little bit wide through Sterling's. Oh dear me! Oh, he was able to hold it, but still nudges the barrier on the outside, unfortunately. There comes Eves to finish his lap. Let's see if he is able to improve at all. He may or may not have improved his time, but he was not able to improve his position. As of right now, at least. Let's have a quick ride on board with Øyvind as he runs very wide through paddock. You could clearly see that the circuit is, for the Toyota, very bumpy indeed. While with, for example, the Volvo or the Honda, it's not as prevalent. And that's the main area where the cars from 95 to 96 were improved. Especially compared to the, I think the Toyota may even be a 2. No, sorry, that would be a 1-year-old car with the Toyota as well. It's me thinking the wrong way. The Toyota team was there for one more season. After 94, where they struggled a little bit with Bailey and Hoy as their drivers. If I'm not mistaken. Well, either way, it's clear to see that the Toyota is struggling a little bit, but hopefully Ivan is able to make good use of the car either way. And Peter is clearly going hell for leather here, because he's almost a second quicker than everyone else at this point. He's 9/10 quicker than the closest guy behind. So it does seem like, at least in qualifying, Peter is the man to beat in Brands Hatch. Because if I remember correctly, he also took the pole position in round 3, at least one of the pole positions. And I think Greg took the other one. But Greg has now climbed up to second. Oh, as he gets very sideways going into Druids. He must be running a very rear biased brake setup on that car, because of how the car is going sideways as soon as he applies a lot of braking. But yeah, he's back to the pace he had before, about a tenth of Peter, with Richard another half a second behind. So it seems like Richard is the most improved out of the other drivers on the grid for this second qualifying session. Or maybe I should say one of the best improved, as most of the guys around the track and on the grid is being able to improve. One who might be a little bit disappointed at the moment is Grant Riddell, but I don't know if he will be able to get another lap in. I think we are closing in on we actually have 2.5 minutes, so he should, if he wants to, have time for another lap. And you have Boss, by the looks of things, is in the top 10 right here. No, sorry, it's in 12th. My apologies for making the wrong assumption. It looks like the Privatier class is hanging back a little bit in this second qualifying, because the quickest of them, David Saber, is in 13th position. Or maybe it's everyone else improving. Second in the Privatier class is now Mick Chapman, with Øyvind Andersen third, Dave Simmons fourth, and Honza Mild. No, sorry, that's 77, that was Chapman. So Honza is second and Mick Chapman is fifth. I was getting a bit excited there. Oh, as I think that Svenja Tits having a bit of a moment, and Philippe Martinelli has a bit of damage to his car, so he's been trying maybe a bit too hard by the looks of things to improve his time. It looks like Matthew Hull's internet is still being a little bit of a pain, but at least his car isn't warping like it was when we saw him just before he retired in the first race, so that's definitely a big positive. Hopefully he'll be able to finish, but as we are closing in on the final bit of the qualifying here, Peder Blom is not out on track, so he won't be able to improve. Greg is out on track, so he will have a possibility to improve, as is Richard Coxon. So let's ride on board with Greg first to see how his lap ends here, and if he is able to dethrone Peder Blom around this Brands Hatch circuit. Ooh, he tried a bit too hard, unfortunately, so he did what he did when we saw him earlier. When Richard Coxon has ended up right behind. I think that's... not sure exactly who that is. That would be Simon Wattman, so that's unfortunate for Richard, so he has been unable to improve. That's just something that can happen. So it looks like that's pretty much the qualifying session done, with Richard finishing his lap, although here comes Matthias Weber, so maybe he will be able to improve a little bit, maybe make it into the top 10. Unfortunately not, so he ends up 11th on the grid. Hansa Mild in the dying bits of the qualifying session gets 12th on the grid and first in the privateer class, so he is on pole position there. And pole position in the overall standings is Peter Blom yet again, so big congrats to both of those and all the guys running, because as Peter mentioned, this is a very difficult track, especially with these Super Tourers, which has some specific handling twerks. And let's see, let's have the camera here, I think, for the warm-up session. And when it comes to predictions for the second race, I have a feeling that although Richard got closer to both Greg and Peter, I'm probably leaning towards Greg or Peter, dependent on if Greg makes any mistakes or not, to take the win. But obviously if both of them makes mistakes, then Richard will probably be there to grab the spoils. So let's see, I just took a moment to rest my voice and try to nurse it, because I feel it sort of ebbing away from being good. But we shall endure, as they say. But that was a very hectic race, that first one. A lot of good battles, some unfortunate incidents, some we saw, some we missed, but yeah, the racing was good, especially between the privateers during the middle of the race, and then between my memory is failing me, so sorry for that, but between the top class cars towards the end of the race. Especially seeing the close finish between Yves and Richard. I don't know the exact margin, but it can't have been more than a couple of hundreds of a second between them. And here comes two cars with the lights on, which is somewhat interesting, but the track is a little bit darker than it was in qualifying, so I suppose that would qualify them to have the lights on. As David Saber goes for a roll. But to be fair, towards the second race of the evening, I think we will all be happy as long as there's battles to be had and action to be watched. So let's hope for that, and yeah, we should be getting very close to the end of this warm-up session. Oh, it's actually 5 minutes left. No, sorry. Yep. I actually muted the sound then to avoid you having to listen to that loud voice saying that it's time to call non-track working personnel to leave the grid or whatever he says. And yeah, everyone is making their way onto the grid. Hopefully everyone makes it to the grid this time, so no one has to start from the pits. But the warm-up lap is underway, and Peter Blom yet again took pole position in his Honda Accord, just about half a tenth ahead of Greg Goissin in his Volvo. Coxon got 4th, about 3 tenths behind Greg. Yves Placé got 4th. Grand Ridal is 5th. Jan Titz got 6th. 7th for Miroslav Havlik. 8th for Ray Ridal. 9th for David Yates, and 10th for Richard Wilkes in the second Honda. 11th was Matthias Weber with 1st in the privateer class and 12th overall for Hansa Mild. 13th for Juha Boos. 14th for Peter Lavak. 15th for David Saber. 16th for Alan Forster. 17th for Dave Simmons in his Cavalier. 18th, I think that would be, if I'm right, yes I am, for Mick Chapman. 19th for Eivind Andersen. 20th for Philippe Martinelli. 21st for Michal Janak. 22nd for Simon Wattman. 23rd for Matthew Hull, and 24th for Svenja Titz. So everyone is just making their way. Oh, we got a very nice close-up of Greg's Volvo there. We can see some of them trying to warm up their tires, others taking it very carefully, maybe being worried about too much heat in the tires, which is obviously an issue at any kind of track that has very few left or right-handers and many of the other kind of turns. As we can see, everyone lining up. I think that should be everyone lined up, so let's have a look on the lights. And 1 light is on, 2, 3, 4 lights is on. And the green light is on and the races go. Oh, Coxon gets a brilliant start right there. I think he'll have the lead here going into and through town. Oh, actually, Greg is spun. Greg has had a bit of a half spin. Oh no, Yves Placé is spinning off. Hopefully it doesn't hit the wall. But it looks like everyone else is more or less through unscathed. I think, at least. Yep, it looks like everyone else apart from Yves Placé was able to make it. Oh, as David Yates got sideways, but everyone was able to hold off and not hit to cause even more trouble. There's a lot of stuff going on towards the back, but looks like everyone apart from Yves got through indeed. So Peter Blom is in the lead. Someone is flashing the lights angry. Oh, Svenja Tits is unfortunately off. But Peter Blom is in the lead, Coxon second, Greg third, Jan Tits is fourth, Wilkes all the way from 10th up to 5th. I think that would be Miroslav Havlik is 6th, 7th for David Yates, 8th for Juha Boos, who's had a good start, 9th for Reiredal, and 10th for Honsa Mild with Lavak just behind him. It looks like there's, I wonder if I'm on replay. No, I'm not. Okay. A bit of lag going on then. As up the inside of Grant Ridal goes Michal Janak, but Grant gets him back, so Grant has had an issue somewhere, which I didn't catch. As Eivind Andersen is into the pits, I wonder if he has damage or if there's something else going on here. Looks somewhat strange indeed, but oh, as we have an off, Michal Janak has had an incident with, I'd assume he's had an incident with Grant Ridal then, since he was battling with him. I see up in the top left of our screen, it looks like he just had a moment as such, and Sabre almost followed him. So that's unfortunate, but that's what can happen. Unfortunately, Matthew Hull is out of the race, and Mick Chapman is in trouble as well. Looks like he's in the cut road, and he's unfortunately out of the race as well. Oh dear me, that's some very unfortunate retirees early on in this race, but at the front of the field, Peter Blom has a big lead, but now it's Greg in second place, so Coxon has lost out. I think he'll try to hook on to Greg's rear bumper and get pulled up to the battle for the lead. Jan Tits is still 4th, Wilkes is still 5th, Havlik still 6th. Boos is under pressure from David Yates now for 7th position. As Jan Tits runs very wide indeed up ahead. It looks like Yates had a thought about going up the inside, going into Druids, but he thinks better of it. And in a first row seat for this battle is Ray Ridal, who's actually having a look up the inside of David Yates going through Surtees, but he too thinks better of it. It's still very early on in the race, so that would sort of explain some of these guys taking it a bit easier than you might have expected. Oh, but Yates runs wide. This may give an opportunity for Ray to get up and by. It doesn't look like it. Yates was able to keep the speed up. As up ahead, Havlik ran a bit wide through Dingle Dell. Oh, and another one running wide was Matthias Weber in the second Nissan. It looks like, if I'm not mistaken, this would be a battle for the lead in the Privateer class shaking up here, because yet again Honsa and Dave is gravitating towards each other, and it should be on in a couple of laps time. Oh, and just behind, there's side-by-side action, I should say, between Grant Ridal and Alan Forster, I think that would be. And Forster decides to let Ridal go. And back here we also have a fight between Lavak and David say, no, sorry, that's Seymour Watman, isn't it? It is indeed. Boris Watman is on the grass going into the braking zone for Surtees. And that invites Peter Lavak to the inside, and Simon receives a bit of his own medicine in a way, because he got escorted a little bit wide. And here comes David Saber. So Saber's had an incident somewhere which I haven't seen. And Janak is now about to be passed by his teammate Svenja. And it looks like, he's not moving out of her way. And Ivan Andersen has also had a bit of a moment, unfortunately, because he's a bit behind the rest of the field. And still only Matthew Hull and Mick Chapman out of the race. But Peter Blom has an even bigger lead now, so something has gone on up behind him, because Greg and Richard are very close to one another. And it looks like Richard got a good run out of Graham Hill Bend. Cool Surtees to go, and looks like Coxon is really close to Greg here. He may have a bit of a look going into Hawthorne, but I think it's a bit too far back. We more or less need to be side by side going into Hawthorne to make the move stick. Oh, Greg is running the car very sideways indeed. I think that may partly also actually be a characteristic of the 850 as a car as such, because it isn't really what you'd expect to be a race car, but the 94 version, the 850 Estate, was even less of a race car according to the looks, but it could definitely go. As Greg now runs wide, so this opens up for Richard to go up the inside. He does. Oh, and Greg goes side. Greg is half spun, but he makes a very quick and decisive recovery. But that's Richard up to second position now, and Greg down to third, but not quite in the clutches of Jan. So I think Greg will be able to try and catch back up to Richard here, but we'll see. Juha Boos is still holding on to 7th. Actually 6th position now, right here. And I think it's still, yeah, it's because Grant Ridal dropped back, indeed. So yeah, the battle here is definitely on. It looks like that's Peter Lavak, who's been able to pass Ray Ridal for, and that would be, say, 6th and 8th position then. While we've been looking at the battle for 2nd and 3rd, it looks like this is definitely far from settled right here. Oh, I think Yates might have received just a little bit of a notch from Lavak. And again, just a bit of tapping on the rear end of Yates Nissen to let him know that Peter's there, and that he'll be wanting to try and make a move soon. Looks like Juha is very good through the Indy section, just like Hansa Milden and Privateer for this, but then through these sweeping corners he's... Oh, actually David Yates has made a mistake, so Peter is up the inside going into Westfield. Very sensible by them, leaving a good bit of space, and actually Yakes is able to hold on around outside. Oh dearie me! Ray Ridala spun, he touched the grass, braking for Dingle Bell, and unfortunately he will have lost a heap of time, but hopefully there's no trouble on the rejoin. It doesn't look like it. It looks like Dave Simmons has lost out just a little bit of time, because he was right behind Honsa earlier, but now he's a bit further behind. But that elevates all of these guys a position up, and Yves Placé is the guy on the move. He was last after the first lap, but he's now already up into 11th position, so that's a very good drive from him, and very soon I think he'll be in the top 10 as well. So it's a very nice recovery, probably getting into the points in a lap or two's time, depending on how difficult or easy Hansa Mill decides to make this. Makes it very easy, braking towards the outside and leaving room on the inside for Hughes to get by. I think I can hear Hansa's car still. He's still up the inside, but he backs off and lets Yves go by, so Yves is now up into the top 10. Oh, and behind there were a bit of contact between Dave and Ray. Dave getting a bit unsettled going through Hawthorne, and that's not where you want to be unsettled, because it's a very fast 170-ish kph an hour going through the apex of that turn. And actually, up in the battle for second and third, it's on yet again, because Greg has caught up to Richard, and he'll now be looking to regain that second position. It looks like for the time being Richard is able to hold on, but the difficulty will probably be to remain calm and not make any mistakes with Greg right behind him, because that would be unnerving for any driver, I feel, because Greg is probably the best driver in HSO at the moment, although one could argue that David Yates is just as good. Looking at the F1 1991 championship. As Greg now has a run, he's looking up the inside. He brakes up the inside as well, gets onto the curb, side by side, no contact actually. Really good racing between these two. And it looks like Richard will have been able to hold on. Oh, he runs a little bit wide through Graham Hill Bend though. This may give Greg a bit of an opportunity. He goes towards the outside. Richard defends the inside. Can he stay on to the apex and hold on? He sort of parks the bus in the middle of Surtees and holds on for the time being. It's very good clean racing right here. And again they are side by side going up towards Hawthorne. But again Richard is able to hold on, but Greg goes for the cutback, a really nice move. This should be him done with the move, he does indeed, but Richard tries his own cutback and Greg runs a little bit wide, and Richard is up the inside yet again and goes by. Wow, this is really good racing right here. I think that would make 4 or 5 position changes in one single lap. And Greg tries to unnerve Richard just a little bit by showing himself in the right hand mirror. But Richard stays calm going through Clark and gains just a little bit of a gap on Greg. Oh, and Richard is a little bit wide, going through Paddock Hill. So this is again a opportunity for Greg to go up the inside. Oh, he tries, he's sideways. He's up the inside. Again, no contact, which you should commend and comment on, because it's more usual to see contact in the BTCC rather than good clean racing. And here comes another pass for a move and a cutback. But I think Greg might have this sewn up right here, because he has the inside line for Hawthorne. But we'll see on the exit right here, because Richard is again on the cutback. Greg gets a little bit sideways. Richard might have... no, he actually doesn't have an overlap. Greg is up into second place and has sealed the deal for the time being, at least, unless he makes a mistake having Richard right behind him, now trying to pressure him into a mistake. That was a really good couple of laps of racing right there. Good clean, but still hard racing. Really excellent to see. And with that sort of settled, let's look back a little bit further. Looks like David Yates has been able to get by Juha Boss, but the BMW is racing. Oh, I heard some contact. Oh, that's Grant Ridal off yet again in the same turn. What on earth? Is it the same kind of situation as well? Oh no, he just understeered off and unfortunately lost the car trying to get back onto the circuit, and unfortunately that's him out of the race. It's unfortunate, but well, Matthias Weber is very far behind as well, so I wonder what's happened to him. Also out of race, that's Grant. Even Andersen is quite far behind as well, but I think he's had more troubles after the initial trouble that he had early on in the race. Michal Janak is quite far behind, as is Svenja Tits, but they are still doing their job, doing a good job at staying on the track and having a good bit of fun. Unfortunately, Philippe Martinelli is out of race as well, as is Miroslav Havlik. And our lap 1 retirees of Matthew Hull and Mick Chapman also out. Peter Blom is still in the lead and has a now massive lead of I'd say probably 10 seconds or so. But the battle for second looks to still be on right here between Greg and Richard. Oh, Richard giving Greg a bit of a nudge going into Druids then. Either he missed his braking point or just misjudged when Greg was going to brake and turn in. Luckily no major damage done, no time loss, so all should be well. Jan Tits having a quiet race in 4th, trying to hang on to that position with Richard Wilkes still in close proximity behind him. Yakes now trying to catch up to the duo ahead after having passed Juha Boss, who is still in I think 6th, 7th position. Ray Ridal in the Renault has gotten by both of the BMWs, so they've tangled up between themselves, because Yves Placé is behind, but Peter Lavach is nowhere to be seen at the moment. That's a great camera angle. Here comes Dave Simmons, who is now in the lead in the Privateer class with Hansa Mild right behind him. So here is a battle for top honors in the Total Cup race, which, as it was in the first race for most of it, between Dave and Hansa. Currently with Dave drawing the longest straw. But I don't think it is over by any stretch of the imagination. And we have 5 laps to go, I think, as we have a battle for position right here between Eves and Ray, with Eves just going by Ray. Eves getting a bit twitchy coming out of Graham Hill Bend, going up through Surtees, hitting the curb a little bit does Ray. And it looks like Eves gets a very good run coming out of there with his rear wheel drive helping him along. Ooh, just about. Ray just about was able to hold on to that because from what I could see, he nudged the grass braking for Westfield, and he was very close to going off. He's running a little bit wide going through Sterling, so maybe Ray brakes very late for Clark and gets very close to the BMW ahead, so I think he will have a bit of a go either here or up into Druids. He's running just a tad bit wide, but gets a good drive, so he is able to hold on. Ray getting a little bit sideways at Druids, so he drops back. Battle here is still not quite on yet. And here is Alan Forster, so Peter Lavak has dropped a lot of positions right here. He's very far down the grid. Unfortunately, we have no more retirees as of the last few laps, which is nice. The battle for second is still on in some ways, so I think we'll follow this one for the time being. Between Richard and Greg still. Volvo versus Renault. A battle that would go on for more or less 3 years. As Greg is up on 2 wheels, almost rolls it, but he's able to hold on to it, but Richard goes through and up in second position yet again. So that's very unfortunate for Greg, but at least it's good for us, because this fantastic battle can be ensued. As Greg runs a little bit wide coming out of Westfield. Both of them taking a lot of curb. Richard running a little bit wide. And again, Greg is wide coming out of Sterling's. Bit of a lockup for Richard there, which Greg didn't have, so that's interesting. I think Richard is almost a little... Greg is up on 2 wheels yet again, drops even more time to Richard, so that's unfortunate for him. This may leave him with no time to recuperate with 1.5 laps or just a bit more to go. A bit further behind, no more battles as such in the top 10, apart from between Eves and Ray still going on right here. As Ray is again a bit sideways going through Druids. The battle for Privateers looks more or less settled, because it's about the same gap as it's been for the last 3 or 4 laps between Simmons and milled. Looks like Peter Blom has now started his final lap. You see still no more battles apart from this between Yves and Ray, so let's follow that for a little bit longer and see what happens. Yves having a big lockup going into paddock hill that time around. It looks like Ray is a little bit too far behind to take advantage of that. Ray brakes very late going into Druids. Oh no, oh dearie me. Looks like he's able to continue. Yes he is. Thankfully, but he loses a couple of positions right there. But Yves is still able to continue, but a race that started badly looks to end badly as well, unfortunately, because I think he loses a lot more positions because he should have both suspension damage and that missing rear wing. But up towards the front of the field we have Peter Blom has actually even finished already, so Peter Blom takes his second win of the evening. I think his third or fourth of the season. Richard Coxon gets second. Is Greg Boisset gets third. Jan Titz gets fourth. Fifth for Richard Wilkes. A nice finish for him after a few events of struggles. David Yates gets fifth. Seventh for Juha Boos. He'll be very happy with that, I'm sure. Having struggled early on in the season, but scoring a good bit of points right here. Eighth for Ray Riddell. Ninth for Dave Simmons, and 10th for Hansa Mild, first and second in Privateer class, so Dave Simmons will have retained his lead in the championship. David Saber gets third in the Privateer class and 11th overall. 12th overall is Yves Placé, who unfortunately ended up with the struggles. He actually lets Peter Lavak, I think that is, finish ahead of him. So that's a nice sporting move right there. 14th overall is Matthias Weber. 15th would have been Eivind Andersen. 16th for Janak. 17th for Svenja Titz. 18th for Forster, and he would have been our last car running. So again, big congrats to Peter Blom, who I think will have joined us once again, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he has, so big congratulations, Peter, on your second win this evening.
Yeah, the second one went easier for me than the first one. Ow! I was a bit, I think, lucky with... I had a pretty bad start. I think Greg took the lead and Richard me on the right side, and then I think in the first corner, I think Richard and Greg came together a little bit, and Greg went sideways, and I could avoid him, so he pulled. He went back to the third place. After that, I pulled away, and Richard and Greg had a nice fight behind me, and I was satisfied with that because then I knew they would lose time and fighting each other, so I could pull back from them. And yeah, great racing.
Yeah, it was good stuff to watch that. Although you weren't in the battles as such, Greg and Richard was holding each other up and having a real ding-dong battle for second mass. So that was very enjoyable to watch, and yeah, I think that was a very interesting race, I should say. Sorry, I wasn't quite paying.
I I also, also a bit, from the mental perspective, I really tried to concentrate harder than the previous races because I made too many mistakes, especially in the first lap, in the first few races. So nowadays I try to be more careful and then try to attack later in the race. And you saw that in the first race. I just went behind Greg for a few laps to see and to know, how he is driving and waiting for a mistake from Greg. And finally, if you wait enough and if you have time in the race, if you have laps enough, then stuff will happen eventually.
That's very true. I was sort of hinting towards that in the second race when Greg and Richard were fighting each other. So yeah, I actually don't know exactly where we are heading for the next event, but I'll have a quick look before I ask. But so we are heading towards the Silverstone GP for the next one, for the support for the F1 support race. I'd assume that would be of the year. So how do you rate your chances at the full Silverstone layout this time around?
I think it will be very beneficial for the Honda and the Volvo. I think we have more engine power. And if like the last race, the more straights the better, because we can pull back from the slower cars. So I think it will be a giant fight again between Honda and the Volvo from Greg. And also, I hope maybe the Renaults or something can join the fight as well. But because the Renault is a very good car as well.
Yeah, that would be great to watch a three-way duel between six-way duel, I should say, between 3 different makes of cars and 6 drivers.
Yeah, but I think I give back the best chances for Silverstone because the Volvo is so quick on the straight, and there are many straights on the GP track there.
Especially the Hanger straight.
Yeah,
that's a very, very long one.
Yeah, and I also think Brands Hatch is very unforgiving. If you go off the track, then you go in the gravel and you lose a lot of time. But the GP track of Silverstone, I think it's more if you lose it. If you go a little bit wide, then you still have a lot of tarmac. Asphalt. So don't lose so many time. I think that.
Well, that's a very fair and good point you make that there. Well, I think we will cap off the event and the broadcast with that. So again, big congratulations, Peter, for a double win this evening, and good luck for the practice for the next event and the next event itself.
Yeah, thank you for broadcasting, and I hope for a good race next time as well. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for tuning in and for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the races as much as I did, and I hope you tune into the next one. So that will be in a couple of weeks time, I think. Yeah, in 2 weeks time we'll be at Silverstone GP. So until then, thank you very much for watching, and have a nice time. Very much for watching, and have a nice time. very much for watching, and have a nice time.